The Spurs are building something incredibly dangerous as we are seeing the dividends from one of the most underrated signings across the entire NBA this summer. But it's not just his performance, it's how the chemistry works with Victor Wembanyama, how the fans are clamoring for more, and they have a point. But on Wemby's note, he is doing some unbelievable things, including some dream shakes, all this kind of stuff, and he showed up very, very highly in the recent NBA polls, and I gotta show you some incredible praise that he's been getting, all that coming up on this episode. And we'll start here. Jared Weiss had a summary of this whole thing. I'll go over some of the points individually from the GM survey, but also I'll let you can see Jared for the full summary here, and I'll link the article down below. But the NBA GM survey is out, and there were plenty of Spurs appearances. Now you can pause, read some of these, but the thing is, Wemby was absolutely everywhere. And I'll just start with a few. Who will win the 25-26 MVP? Wemby was there. He came fourth behind only the reigning MVP in Shea, the multi-time MVP in Jokic, and Luka Doncic. I think you could argue Wemby could be higher, but hey, whatever. Wemby it's crazy that he's there. It's awesome. If you were starting a franchise today and could sign any player, Wemby, 83% coming in first, and it's not even close. He led last year as well, but he got an even bigger share this year. Which team will be the most improved? San Antonio Spurs tied for second with the Atlanta Hawks, only behind the Orlando Magic. And you know what? The Spurs, I'm sure, will top this next year if they don't make the playoffs this year, though I think we will. Who is the best defensive player in the NBA? Well, it's Victor Wembanyama, of course, and also De'Aaron Fox showing up here as a player that's fastest with the ball. But look, we knew Wemby would show up somewhere on this list. We knew he'd be there probably a lot, but the extent to which the NBA GMs are singing his praises is absolutely crazy. And again, I'm sure these survey questions happened before what we're seeing here in the preseason, because this is insane as well. The reverse alley-oop from last night, that spin dunk that you even saw in the intro. Wemby is doing some stuff that no one should be able to do at his size, and he's developing a lot of great chemistry with other players. Shout out Julian Champagnie, who is like an absolute sniper right now, making good on a lot of Wemby passes. But again, to go back here, like, Wemby is absolutely everywhere. Like, you can see some other people that, like, some other screenshots that I have, but I couldn't show them all in this video. Number 2 breakout candidate, tied with Brandon Miller and Asar Thompson. One vote for the best center. It was Jokic, 97%. One GM voted Wemby as the best center in the league. Tied for fourth most versatile defender. Even a vote for most athletic, but that's not it, right? It's the other Spurs that showed up here as well. So as much as we want to sing Wemby's praises, this GM poll was just spur after spur after spur after spur. And like I showed you, De'Aaron Fox, 53% of people of all GMs had De'Aaron Fox as the fastest player with the ball. Last year was also Fox. I don't really know how the percentage can be 52 instead of 53. Maybe it was like a rounding thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Carter Bryant was number 2 for the steal of the draft, tied with Ace Bailey as well. And Spurs had the number 2 young core, which hard to argue with success. But like, you can look at all these things. Even Steph Castle got a vote for breakout candidate. Sean Sweeney got a vote for best assistant coach. The thing is, though, some recent predictions, too, have come out. I think it was ESPN. They had the Spurs finishing 11th in the West. But what is so good to see is that so many Spurs players, mostly Wembanyama, but also De'Aaron Fox, and even Castle showing up, and even, again, the coaching staff. Mitch Johnson didn't appear anywhere, but he's still young. He's still getting into the rhythm of things. He didn't have a great team last year. I bet we'll see him actually show up in a couple of years, but to see the love for the San Antonio Spurs is absolutely unbelievable in these things. The GMs are seeing what's happening here. They know how good Wemby is. They know how good the Spurs' future looks. Again, to have us only behind the NBA champion Thunder for best future, best young core is pretty impressive. So I want you to leave your thoughts on all that down below as we got to transition into some of the other good stuff. And I want to just take a moment to talk about Luke Kornet, because we've talked about him a lot. Like, he's been a subject of so many videos, these post-game things, but it's really now coming to fruition more than ever. And it's so many different plays. The pick and roll with Wembanyama, where his picks are good. The smarts down there, the little pump fake to the finish. This duo looks legitimately dangerous. Even Kornet operating as a high passer there in the offensive set. And last night against the Miami Heat, he had 9 points, 11 rebounds, 7 of them offensive. Reminder, this dude was literally, I think, like one of the best offensive rebounders in the league in terms of efficiency before. 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. So not only is Luke Kornet showing that, he can score down there, don't forget, he had 16 points in 13 minutes on just 6 shots in our first preseason game versus Guangzhou. But last night versus Miami, again, 9 points, 11 boards. He can get the rebounds, he can protect the rim. And looking at his advanced statistics, again, offensive rebounding efficiency, he's way up there. In terms of rim protection and help defense, he's in like the 95th plus percentile all across the board. And he's a guy that, again, like, look, Celtics fans have been saying to Spurs fans, look, you're going to love Kornet. Spurs fans, we've loved Kornet so much. but it's still flying under the radar. You ask fans from a lot of other teams around the league, they might know that Kornet signed in San Antonio, but they don't know, they don't see what we are seeing every day, right? We're the ones who are watching these games. We're the ones watching what Luke Kornet is doing and how he's meshing with this lineup, and how, honestly, it is legit looking dangerous, because Spurs fans are clamoring for more Wemby Kornet lineups. We saw some against Guangzhou, we saw some in the scrimmages, but didn't as much against the Miami Heat. But, like, again, as this tweet here from Victor Wembanyama pointed out, Luke Kornet's actually a solid pickup. What a massive upgrade over Gosse and Zach Collins. And yeah, actually, what's funny is, actually, I don't have the screenshot, but Zach Collins and Luke Kornet at some point this preseason, might even be now, were like two of the most efficient scorers under the rim so far this preseason, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, he absolutely is a solid pickup. But the thing is, like I said, he's actually more than that with the versatility he brings. And what I'm not even showing here is some of the harder screens he set, and I've seen some Spurs fans echo that. Luke Kornet is setting great picks, and the two-man game with him and Wemby is incredible, but the two-man game with really anyone, and even just off-ball cutters, and again, this is just a clip of Wemby that's going to cycle whenever we go through these highlights, but again, the fact that you can run a two-man game with Wembanyama, or whoever the ball handler is great. And the icing on the cake of it all is that we have yet to see De'Aaron Fox operate with Luke Kornet, because again, Kornet brings a certain level of versatility that, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't totally expecting, right? And that's, again, just another reason why it's so dangerous. In certain situations, especially in that scrimmage, he was operating as a passer out of the high post. And I figured his passing was good. I mean, I'd seen him in Boston. I knew he could do it, right? That was one of the things we talked about when we signed him. But it is way better than I thought. He's smart, right? He is, plus he's hilarious. He feels like Matt Bonner in a lot of ways, you know? But he just looks at the game and thinks the game. He's not rushing it. He's never rushing it. That's the thing that I'm seeing with Kornet. And again, you can watch these highlights, but like, catches it down low. I mean, that's just the easy two-hand dunk, nice and simple. This one here, he sees the defender come a little fake, up and under, there it is. Here, well, there he's walking in a slow pace, because it's slow motion, patience. And this one here, the perfect pass to Champagny, and that was actually a nice finish. I think that's Champagny. But yeah, just really good stuff from Luke Kornet overall. But it's how his chemistry with Wemby, I think, in particular, right? The guy who was voted best defensive player in the league, the favorite for Depoy, one of the front runners for MVP before the season even starts, according to the GMs. The fact that the Spurs could realistically run a twin tower lineup with Victor Wembanyama and Luke Kornet is kind of crazy, because again, they've shown, well, maybe this game more so, that they can be on the court together. And even if Wemby is off the court, which is going to happen a lot in this preseason and in the regular season for sure, like you don't want Wemby playing 38 minutes a night, Luke Kornet is more than capable of filling in that role to some extent. He's not going to be the ball handler that Victor Wembanyama is. He's probably not quite the playmaker Wemby is, but again, in his role, he's actually pretty good at letting the offense get opened up a bit. He's finding the right people at the right times with the right cuts, and to me, it's really, like, I don't know, I keep using the word dangerous because that's sort of the theme of this video, but, like, it really is lethal. Like, to have both of those guys, and potentially even run lineups with both of them on at the same time, because Kornet is like 7'2", 260. Wembanyama is now listed at 7'5", like 260 or 265. And you could realistically have them both. Wemby playing the 4, Kornet playing the 5, and you can run a two-man game with both those guys. Like, who is stopping it? Every time we've seen them run a two-man game this preseason, it has been buckets. Bucket after bucket after bucket. There's been no mistakes because they work off each other so well, which is the most fun thing I think I've seen this offseason from the Spurs. Look, there's a lot to look forward to. Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, so many great things, but this Kornet and Wemby connection, plus the hype Wemby's getting, I don't know, got me feeling really, really good. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything I said down below, because I think Kornet somehow still underrated. Like, not by Spurs fans, I don't think. I think we're seeing it now. But I think by the NBA in general, like, his impact on this team is going to go far beyond the box score. But anyway, I've been rambling too much. That'll do it for this episode. Hey, you made it this far. Hit that free subscribe button. Still, well over half of you are not subscribed to this channel. And we got daily Spurs content coming all season long. So if it sounds good to you, hit that free button. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, and I'll catch you all in the next one.